Leonard Cohen wrote that song, Hallelujah. And he said, hallelujah comes from the Hebrew word, glory to the Lord. But he wrote the song to really give us the message that there are many kinds of hallelujah. Not just the kinds we say, hallelujah, and celebrate. There can be hallelujah and surprises. There can be sexy hallelujahs. There can be hallelujahs that you have to dig through a lot of dirt, a lot of pain to find. But what we know and what we teach is that God expresses in, through, and as everything, not some things, but everything. And when you and I can have that faith, it's that little faith, that glimpse of light, God's light, and knowing it's always there even if we don't see it. It's that little bit of faith that can guide us to find that hallelujah. Hallelujah often comes as a feeling of peace, a greater understanding that's often hidden in life's experiences. So I'm going to invite us today to make a commitment. I know in your program it says one step at a time, but I'm talking about the first step today. Because for me, every day is the first step. Every day is an opportunity for us to move closer to finding that hallelujah, to finding that place where we see the glory of God, the light of love, the inspiration of wisdom and creativity. Every moment is that opportunity. So I'm going to invite us today to make a commitment to move closer to that hallelujah, because one of Ernest Holmes' major teachings is God is all there is, and we are it. But we can only express as that godliness when we discover that truth for ourselves. So on this journey, the first step to finding the hallelujah for this day, wherever we are, the first step is, as Ernest Holmes says, touching that divine urge within us. There's always that spark, that divine urge within us that's guiding us to our greater good. And that journey, that divine urge, is always taking us on the journey back to God. Always. Back to our remembrance of the God within and the God that's everywhere present. And if we look at Hafez, the 13th century mystic poet, he said the stairway of existence leads us to God's door. So this idea that God is everywhere present and this journey of our life is about finding that expression. And it doesn't have to be called God, but it does need to be recognized as good. Because the only way this journey is going to make any sense for us is if we can really understand that that concept we know as universal intelligence, creative inspiration, the unlimited potential that's everywhere, the God energy. The only way we can really be pulled by it through anything is to know that life is always for us and never against us. So let's join on that journey now as we take the next step, wherever we are, as Kirk says every Sunday when he remembers it. Well, I'll tell you, he had some coldies this morning, and he's kind of a lightweight, so our Dayquil or whatever that was, I'm not sure. But anyway, every path, wherever we are, wherever you are on this journey, we're moving in the same direction. Some of us go a little quicker than others, because this journey is always leading us back to who and what we really are. But don't worry, you've got eternity to find out. But it's a little easier the sooner we find out, because this journey is eternal. But there's many ways to get there, to that place of being fully expressed, or at least greatly expressed as your God energy. There's many ways and symbols to get us there. As Hafez said, the stairway of existence. And Ernest Holmes said, the divine urge within us that leads us back to God. And one of the symbols is the ladder, the spiritual ladder as a metaphor, leading us to God. Now, I think that's an easy one for me to understand, because that ladder leads us upward, takes us to this evolutionary spiral, to this place we might call heaven. And it takes us there rung by rung, step by step. Everything has its own importance. And it's up to us to climb. It's meant for climbing. And the climb is much, 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 much easier if we infuse every rung with hope and faith and an expectancy of good. When we expect good, no matter what's going on in this world right now, when we expect that good, it makes the climb much easier for each and every one of us. So let's start the climb now. We can take this journey, because it's always a journey. We're always on this journey of awakening, of finding our hallelujah, whatever you want to call it. We're always on that journey. But I'm going to tell you something that blocks our journey completely. Now, every journey we have starts right up here in our mind, because our mind is what directs our attention, our intention, keeps us focused on where we want to go and what we want to be doing. But I guarantee you, maybe not, I won't guarantee you, but I bet that everyone here has a fear of something. Because fear is a universal feeling in the world. And when we have more fear than faith, it will stop us in our tracks and stop that growth until we can get a bigger container that's filled with more faith than fear. Now, I want you to think about what your fears are, because you have to bring something to light in order to heal it. You have to bring it to light so you can know what to do about it. I know many people are afraid of dying because what's going to happen next? We don't want to leave people we love. Oh my gosh, there's only so much time to get everything I need to do, forgetting that life is infinite and eternal. We forget that we're on a journey and the soul never dies. And we're here, and many of us will see each other again and again and again. But we forget that. But as much as there's a fear of dying, there's a fear of living. People are afraid to live and give themselves fully to life and be sensitive, because you can get hurt. It can be painful, so we hold ourselves back instead of giving ourselves fully to life because we don't want to get hurt. But again, there's a greater understanding behind all of that too. If we can realize that we're all on this journey of awakening and we all want the same thing. We all want to be loved. And that every action in this world, everything that's done, is either an act of love or a cry for love, a call for love. We want to be loved. And when we can step back and see, even if people are behaving poorly or whatever's going on, if we have that greater understanding that the important thing is to be loved, then we can get a greater grasp on that fear. Some of us, because of old training, believing that there's a anthropomorphic man in the sky that's judging us, can have a fear of punishment, that we're going to be punished for our mistakes. Does anybody have a little bit of that one left? Just a little bit left, that there's somebody judging us, instead of realizing that every mistake we make is a stepping stone for our growth, for a greater good, for something more for us. We think that we're in trouble. But Ernest Holmes says the first step we can take right now, that I want to do this together, to overcome. Did you get a fear that you have? I'm really afraid of sharks, but I don't think that counts in this list. I forgot another fear, and that's because that's probably the one I have the most of, and is the fear of not enough, being good enough, or being enough. That fear when we think we're not enough. So naturally slipped that one out of my list in my mind. But the greatest antidote to fear is to realize what I said before, that God is for us. Life is for us no matter what. Do you get that? Right here, right now. There's a power and energy around us. As our prayer this morning said, we're in this flow of spirit that's there as if we're a rock in the river, as Marguerite said. It's always there, but we have to open to it. So if we're going to go on a journey of awakening to recognize that power for good that's always for us, I want us to realize there's several kinds of journeys we can go on. You know, the ladder. There's the ladder. Oh my gosh, I just remembered something. A ladder in primitive times was put in the tomb of the deceased. It was either an amulet or a picture of a ladder, because what it signified was a safe passage from earth to the floor of heaven. And it also signified the divine help that's always with us, lifting us, guiding us, but we have to say yes. Yes. So let's place one of those in our hearts, a safe passage through this thing we know as life right now. And we can take, well, I'm just going to make it two journeys right now. There can be an outward journey of awakening where we meet the problems of the world and get bounced around by the external things in life and learn from the experiences. They happen automatically a lot of the time, but it's like the parable of the prodigal son, where he had everything he needed at his father's home, everything, but then he took all his riches and he went out and squandered them and lived a what is that called? Obsessed? Is that self-absorbed life? And spent all his riches, and he ended up having to sleep with the pigs and feed them. And he was like at his lowest low and realized, wow, everything I need is in my Father's house. And he went back. That's the outward journey. We can do it that way. Or we can take the inward journey. And I'm going to share something from Corinthians in the Bible that is a beautiful thought on the inward journey. Do you know that you are God's temple and God's Spirit dwells in you? God's temple is holy and you are that temple. Ernest Holmes makes a comment in one of his first books, Living the Science of Mind, about the journey of going to the temple within, and how when we go into that temple, we find the holiest of holies. We find that divine essence. We find that God self that belongs to us. And he explains at the door of the temple within us, there are two pillars, and these are the two principles on which our teaching is founded. Law and the word, or love. So law and love, or law and the word. And the law is the impersonal, mechanical, dependable laws of the spiritual laws of the universe, the laws of cause and effect. What we put out there comes back. As Ernest Holmes says, life is a mirror. What the thinker thinks into it will be reflected back to him or her. So life is a mirror. The laws, the law of reciprocity, the law of cooperation, all the laws that are dependable, mechanical, and impersonal, they're the same for everyone. But then there's love. That's the other pillar. The word is love. And love is tangible, it's personal, it's creative. And once we can get a balance of those two, we have the entrance to the temple of the self. And at the door of the temple, which we have to open ourselves, nobody can open the door of our temple. We can go to classes, which is really good, and I hope to see you all there. And we can do our Wednesday meditations and teachings, and we can take workshops, all important, and teach us how to get to the door. But we've got to open that door ourselves. Nobody can open it for us. But we don't have to do it alone, because right there, Ernest Holmes says, is a high priest, which is our higher self, our greater mind, that's with us every step of the journey. And so it's trusting that that beautiful part of spirit is there. Now, Now, what I'd like to do right now is take us on a journey through the temple as we walk through the door. I want to say a few things right now, knowing that when we arrive at the innermost place of that temple, we realize that we are, as is everyone, an individualized expression of God. That's where we arrive to. So Ernest Holmes says all things are possible in the mind of God. God can only do for us what it can do through us, and prepare your mind to receive the best life has to offer for this day. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, unwrap yourself, be available to the perfection, the beauty, the possibility, the goodness, the divinity that resides within you right now. Know that you are supported by both love and law, the dependable laws, spiritual laws of the universe, and the beautiful love of Spirit. Spirit so loves us that it's ever there for us, and it allows us to make this journey for ourselves. We are gifted with free will to make our own choices, to express our own creativity and individuality. So we stand here right now and open the door. As we free our minds and know that as we journey inward, we may meet demons from the past, we may meet fears or worries from the future, but each is an opportunity to understand the inner gift, the inner good, the inner peace that's available. So I invite you just to bless what you meet, if it's the chattering mind or the hurting heart or the achy body, whatever it is, just bless it right now as part of the expression of God on the journey. The universe exists for this self-expression of God and the delight of God as you. And as we take this journey inward, we meet the divinity within our own soul. And what does it feel like to meet that God essence? It feels awesome. It feels unexplainable, peaceful, expanding. As we journey through this temple of this life experience and all the wisdom it contains and all that it has for us to know and express and to be, we feel the oneness with all life. We feel the tangible mind touching the intangible universe, the visible touching the invisible, and all of it contained in the eternality and oneness of our experience. In this journey, we feel the light of God as it shines on us, in us, as us, in this and every moment. And we know right here, right now, that every problem has a spiritual solution. We know that as we truly fill each one of the rungs of our spiritual ladder, as we climb to the depths of who we are, which is always truth and beauty and possibility, we fill our minds and hearts with that faith, that hope, that expectancy of good that happens right here and right now. We know as we surrender to this journey, we become a channel for grace, for healing, for service to ourselves and to this world. We start understanding, who am I? What is my relationship to God? And how can I be used for the greater good? I simply invite you to let the light of Spirit shine on you, in you, as you, right now. If you found the light, you got to be standing up. Have you found your hallelujah? Okay, just say, I found my hallelujah. It's in my heart. It's in my mind. And I see it in you. And you. And you. And so it is. Thank you all for being on this journey. bless you, and so it is. Beautiful. All right, sit down.